Hey guys, for my university recently we made a little music video, and in that I decided to do some of my Blender visual effects and stuff to achieve some cool little effects in that. And I thought the workflow I used was pretty cool to make a video about, just because it's kind of some easy ways to do some 2D animation and fake that inside of Blender itself. Now, thank you to my Patreons for selecting this video to talk about. If you want to join our Patreon, the link is in the description below. But anyways, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so first of all, I'm just going to recreate kind of what I did for that 2D animation, and then we'll talk about some of the other things that are possible with this method. So first of all, we're just going to get the camera to be top down. So I'm going to select 7 to go into top view, then Control-Alt-0 to bring the camera to top view. Pretty simple stuff so far. Next thing we need to do is actually make the camera orthographic instead of perspective. So we can just select camera, go into camera properties, and then the type, we're going to change it to orthographic, just so depth doesn't really matter. We basically just want to have just 2D information, and that's an easy way to do that. Now you can see that our cube is basically a square now. So if I rotate it and stuff like that, it basically doesn't have any depth information, so that's what we want. So we're just going to go ahead and delete that real quick. Again, I am just going to do kind of what I did to actually recreate that effect that we had, like the balls coming across the screen and everything. So first of all, let's go ahead and add in a mesh plane. We're going to scale that down, and then we're going to scale that along the Y, just so we have a long strip to work with. Now we can just go ahead and rotate that like this. We basically want it to start here and then slowly fade down like that. So to do that, we're going to hit I, location, and then I'm thinking maybe 100 is when it's going to stop. So we're just going to move it here and then hit I, location, like that. So that looks pretty good speed, not too fast but not too slow and everything. So that's what we're going to stick with. You can play around with it depending on what you want to do. So for this, of course, I just did a particle simulation and everything. So let's go ahead and add that into the particle properties. Going to add, we're going to keep it on emitter. And instead of emitting just points, we're actually going to create an object. So let's add a circle. And then go into edit mode by hitting tab and then hitting F to add a face right there. Now that we have that, we can just move this out of the way. We don't really need to work with that yet. Let's come back to the plane. We're going to come down here to the render properties. Instead of halo, which it's on now, we're going to select object, and then the object, we're just going to select this little circle over here. So now if we go ahead and hit play, we should see that this kind of effects work. You will notice that it's actually, the circles look like they're staying still. But if I come over here, you actually see that they're falling and being affected by gravity. So that's another thing that kind of works with that orthographic view we set up. So that's really nice. You will see that the lifetime is very short for these. So let's come up here and set the lifetime. We'll do something crazy like 600 just to have a long, lifetime and stuff. So that looks pretty good. We need to mess around with the scale and then the randomness. So that is looking good. Let's see. We want all of them to be spawned by 100. So I'm going to set the end frame to be 100 like that. So that looks good. You will notice that they're all kind of staying in the same location. So to do that, first of all, we're going to turn off gravity for them. So to do that, we're going to come down to the field weights. Yeah. And then we're just going to turn gravity off, maybe a little bit. So that looks pretty good. Now we actually need to add some velocity and stuff. So I'm just going to add some velocity. Let's just randomize this a bit. Let's see how this looks. Yeah, so you can see that kind of added some stuff. Let's just add some tangent, maybe some normal, all that stuff. Just to kind of randomize that a bit more. So you can see they're still kind of going in there. We can add some object velocity to maybe change that a bit. Yeah, there we go. We can now see that they're kind of more scattered and everything. So that looks pretty good. We will notice that there aren't that many. So what I'm going to do is going to go ahead and increase the number just so we can have some more particles and everything on the screen. Now you can do this with any type of shape and anything you want. You can also play around with some of the particle properties and stuff. So that is looking pretty good right now. Let's view it in rendered. So yeah, rendered, we're going to have to play around with some stuff. So that's a cool little animation so far. Just going to increase this. So just wait till they're all off screen. Or we can just stop it at 400 for the sake of this tutorial, but you can extend it longer if you're doing this yourself. So yeah, so now an interesting part is to actually make them multicolored and stuff. So we're going to come up to the shading, and this is actually the part where it actually makes 3D look like 2D and everything. So first of all, we can add, we need to select the circle instead of our plane, and we're going to add that. I'm just going to name this red. So yeah, now we need to add a object info node, like that. And yep, so that is going to give us a color ramp. It's going to be plugged into the color ramp. So the factor of this will tell what color it's going to be. And that, since we have this object info node, basically all the objects are going to have different values for that. And so this random is going to be here. So each different spawned circle will have a random value, and that will correspond to the color. And so the color here is going to be, first we're going to start out with a darker red. So let's see what that looks like that. And then we're going to go to a warmer red. Let's darken that just a tad, like that. So now you can see that we have all these values of red in between. Now you can add some more if you want, you know, multicolors and stuff like that. But this is good for me. So I'm just going to plug that color into, actually, we don't need the principled BSDF. Principled BSDF will be affected by light and everything, and we actually don't want that. So let's just get rid of that, and then we're going to plug the color ramp into the surface. And yeah, so that looks much better. And if we go into our little view right here and go into rendered, we should see that we now have all the different colors and everything. So that's pretty cool. Pretty cool effect. You can see that it's not just one shade of red, it's kind of a randomized, you know, type of red. The background should be black, so an easy way is to just come up to the world, change that down to black. So now that is looking more like the effect that we want. The final thing that we need to do is to come out here. We should, it shouldn't be too much of an issue since our world is black, but just in case, we can go ahead and disable the emitter from being rendered. So that basically just means that our plane is not going to be rendered, but all these circles will. We can come to render and then uncheck this show emitter. So that should give us the effect we're looking for. And so yeah, so that is basically all the effect I did to achieve that result. How we actually filmed it is we put up a camera and then put a projector on a wall just so it was facing towards her and giving all the light and moving that on her and everything. So that's the basic animation out of the way. Now we can go ahead and talk about, you know, some of the methods you can use to actually do some more 2D animation stuff like this. Okay, so now we're in a default scene inside of Blender, so let's play around a little bit with that. I'm going to come over here, and we need to do that same thing as before, so we're going to come to the camera settings, set it to be orthographic instead of perspective, so that looks a bit better now. And now we actually need to shade it again, so come to the shading tab. We're going to make sure that our cube is selected, delete the principled BSDF, and add in, this time we're going to use emission. If you just want a solid color, emission is what you're going to be using, because if you see this, this basically means that it's going to be shadeless. It's not going to be affected by any light or anything. You can also change around the color and everything depending on what you're using it for, so that's pretty cool. And so now if you want to add like an outline or something to it, an easy way I find to do that is to hold Shift D. We're going to duplicate that. So now we have two. I like naming it whatever the object's name is, -O for outline, because this is going to be our outline. Then we can just change the color of it, so we need to exit out of that. We're going to add a new emission, and this one is going to just be black, so that looks good. And then this one we need to add a wireframe modifier, like that. That basically just makes our little outline. If I zoom in here, you can kind of see that. So depending on how thick you want it, you can change around the thickness and stuff. Actually, didn't mean to change around the offset. You can do that as well if you want. But yeah, so that's kind of the effect that we're going for. And so now if you actually select this, you will notice that they're not actually attaching to each other. So what you can do is make sure you select your outline first and then your cube second. With those both set like that, you can hold Control P and then keep set the parent to object transform. So now if you select this pink thing, you'll notice that the outline actually follows it and everything, so that looks pretty good. One annoying thing is that if I actually try to select it, I might sometimes select the outline instead of the actual cube, and if I move around that, that'll move the outline and stuff. So we don't want that. To change that, we can actually drop this little menu down. We can see our little outline cube right here. If we want to make it to be not selectable, we can drop this thing down, hit this little icon. This is basically going to allow us to make it selectable or not. Right now it is selectable, so we need to click it. And now if we try to select it, we can only select the pink little cube in the background. But yeah, that's the basic workflow of how I did some of my 2D animations and stuff, because I have no idea how to make 2D animations. I'm a 3D guy, so if we can fake it in 3D, I think that's a cool little effect. Now you of course can change the world. Again, I'm just gonna change it to like a darker gray, like that. We can also, let's add some animation to it just real quick so we can kind of show that. We'll do that and then rotate it on the Z like that. So now if I play this, you can kind of see that this is the effect that we have. It looks pretty cool. You can see that it looks 2D, but it is 3D essentially. You can look around here and everything. So that's just a cool little effect. And again, you don't really need the orthographic perspective. We just did it earlier for the light thing, but you can kind of play around with it if you like it or not. So this is it without it. This gives more, like, you know, depth information and everything. But anyways, guys, that's the basic workflow I have for 2D animation and everything. There are plenty of effects and stuff you can do to make it look more artsy and stuff instead of making it look 3D. But I just thought this was kind of an interesting effect that I was playing around with, and just thought I'd share this to you guys in case you wanted to play around with it and create your own stuff using this kind of workflow and everything. Anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this tutorial. Make sure you like and subscribe for more awesome tutorials like this. Also, we have a Discord and Patreon. Links to those are in the description below. But anyways, guys, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys later. Peace.